Get ready for saxophone and synth music because I'm going back to the 80s with Witness, After Hours, and Diner. It's gonna be white male centric and kind of misogynistic, so it'll be a little interesting. First up is Witness. This is a 1985 movie starring Harrison Ford. The basic premise is that Harrison Ford is a cop. What? He never does that. And there is this Amish boy that witnesses a murder. So Harrison Ford, as a cop, has to then go live sort of undercover as an Amish person for a little bit. And it's really solid. This one has a lot of synth music, which was interesting. My favorite thing about this movie was how they treated the Amish people, because I grew up around Amish people, and then my dad is also friends with an Amish man, and I actually got to interview him once for a paper. That was really cool. So I know a fair bit about the Amish, and every community is different, but I think in general they really nailed the essentialness of Amish. My big complaint, though, about the movie is just the lack of talk about God, because everything they do is God-centered. Like, that's the whole reason they live so differently, is because they do it for God. And like, there's a Harrison Ford has a, kind of a romance thing going on with an Amish woman. And I really liked how they did it for the most part, because it felt very gradual, it felt earned that, they were getting feelings for each other. And then they brought in the fact that, like, oh, if she, falls for this guy, she's gonna get excommunicated and lose all contact with every single person she's ever known her entire life. That's a huge, big reason to not, have a relationship with Harrison Ford. But it's also just going against her way of worshiping God. And it's, I don't know, there's a lot more to it. Like, you love God and you love your community and your family, but you also, you're attracted to this person. And it's an interesting conversation. And they do the community and the relationship thing. I think adding God to the mix would have made things just a bit more interesting. And then my only other complaint is I just kind of wish there was just more of it, because they did such a good job with all the Amish stuff, and I really loved all of the action cop stuff. That was done really well. I just, wish there would have been more action stuff. I wish there would have been just more Amish stuff. There was a barn raising scene. That was great. And, oh my God, I didn't know this. This is Viggo Mortensen's feature film debut. Oh my God, he is so young in this. Look at him. Look at how young he is. If you don't mind listening to a lot of synth music, this is definitely worth checking out. It's an interesting story. It's awesome. It's always good to learn about different communities. I think they handled this community really, really well. And it's just a good story. Yeah. Next up is After Hours. This is a 1985 Martin Scorsese movie. And it is weird. Oh my God. I really don't know how to describe this movie. It starts off being about this guy who meets a girl at a coffee shop and gets her number. And then he goes to meet her that same night. She lives in Soho, and that's a big deal. And then when he goes to meet her, lots of shenanigans happen. And it's kind of weird, but it's not weird. But it's also kind of really, really weird. It's a trip. Oh my God. It belongs in that category of movies that are very dreamlike. It's not a dream, I don't think. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what the point of this movie is. It's good though. It's so weird. But again, it's not weird. But it is weird though. I don't know. Like, things keep happening and they make sense in the moment, but then if you kind of think about it, it's like, does that really make sense? Why does this keep happening? And why are we going over here now? Things are connected? That's a little weird. And then, looking into the movie, they didn't know how to end it. Martin Scorsese literally asked lots of directors how he should end the movie. And they actually filmed and came up with a bunch of different ones. And the one they ended with was the most agreed upon, most satisfying one. And I am glad they ended with that one. But because like they didn't know how they were gonna end the movie, I don't know what the point of this movie is. You can throw out authorial intent because there isn't any. It's just a weird trip. So if you want a weird trip of a movie that features Cheech and Chong, check this out. I know I've called a few things bonkers this year, but I think this one takes the cake right now at being the most bonkers. It is. It's something else. And lastly is Diner. This is a 1982 movie starring a lot of actors that you'd recognize, but surprisingly young. The basic premise of this is it's set in 1959, so 23 years earlier. It's about a group of guys all in their mid-20s, so like, 22 to 27. And they just like to hang out at the diner a lot. One of them is getting married soon, so that's why a couple guys come in from town. It's a conversational movie. Like, they're always just kind of very casually talking about, just BS. And it's you're just kind of there to enjoy their company, essentially. I thought the movie was fine. It was okay. I mean, like, every single dude in the group is an asshole. They all are just not good people. Hey, this is Charlie from The Next Day. I'm currently editing the video that you're watching. And I realized I rambled on for like 10 minutes about Diner, about all the things I didn't like about it. And I was like, I'm not really saying anything in these 10 minutes. And now it's trying to hit me what I was trying to say. I don't like this movie because it really dehumanizes women. Their treatment of women is just awful. They're there to be wives and girlfriends. You can't share interests with them. They need to share interests with you. They're just there to be a sex object, and it's just awful. And I hate that so much. They just constantly are dehumanizing the women. Like, there's one female character who we never see their face the entire movie. And I've seen some people argue that it's because then we pass judgment on her, and then we kind of like judge the guy who's all hemming and hawing if he wants to marry her or not, because we'll think of like, oh, she's beautiful, of course you should marry her, or something like that. I don't know. But all it really does is just make her not a real person. She's just this thing that he's going to marry. It's not an actual human person that thinks and has feelings. No, it's just a woman. And meaning that in like the worst way possible, which is so dumb because, women are people too. Even in 1959, also 1982, they were people. Still are to this day. And that's why this movie frustrates me. Because it's not awful, but its treatment of women is. Okay, that's all I had. Now back to what I was saying yesterday. So yeah, I didn't hate this movie. It was okay. I know I didn't really say any of the good things about it. There is some good stuff. I just don't want to talk anymore about this movie, so I'm not going to say what it is. I don't recommend it unless like you really just want to see baby Kevin Bacon, because he is adorable. He's so adorable. Look at him. Look at him. So adorable. Alrighty, so for today's rankings, we got Witness at number 16 in the quite liked section. After that is After Hours in the liked section at 21. Side note, I had no idea where to put that movie because it was just a trip, so I'm like, well, middle of the road makes sense. And yeah, I don't regret that. And then bringing up the rear is Diner, sitting at number 24 in the meh category out of a total of 33 movies.